Morocco and Algeria share a 60-year-old conflict. In the 19th century, Morocco became a French protectorate and Algeria became a French colony. The Morocco-Algeria borders were not strictly defined by the French, and two mineral-rich territories, Béchar and Tindouf, remained undefined even after a French invasion. In 1952, France decided to integrate Béchar and Tindouf with Algeria. 4 years later, Morocco gained independence and demanded the return of the two disputed territories, though the demand was shot down by France. The two countries even went to a brief armed conflict called the Sand War over this issue in 1963, which resulted in a military stalemate that hasn't been resolved till date. In 1975, Spain vacated the Western Sahara, as if to take revenge on Algeria. Morocco staked claim over the region. Western Sahara soon became a geopolitical issue. Now, Algeria supports violent extremist and Islamist groups in its fight against Morocco. Donald Trump had briefly established peace in the region, but with Biden in power, the Democrats are doing what they do best. They are making war. Hi and welcome. You're watching TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm Siddharth, your host. And in this video, I will tell you how the Morocco-Algeria showdown is heating up in North Africa. Let's begin. North Africa is extremely hot, extremely dry, and it's replete with extremism. 7 countries are considered a part of North Africa, and these are Algeria, Egypt, Libya, Morocco, Sudan, Tunisia, and Western Sahara. But here's the deal. About 80% of Western Sahara is controlled by Morocco, and that pretty much tells us the story of this region. There's also the Algerian angle here. Algeria lies to Morocco's east, so Algeria primarily remains landlocked, and therefore it has been eyeing the Western Sahara for itself. Algeria wanted control over Western Sahara as the region gave it direct access to the Atlantic without having to go through the Gibraltar Strait, located near Algeria's enemy, that is, Morocco. In recent times, the story of Algeria and Morocco is the story of two men. These men are Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Now, we do not really believe in complicating geopolitics. To put it very simply, Donald Trump worked to establish peace in North Africa, and the very first way of doing that is to ensure peace is restored between Morocco and Algeria. Joe Biden, on the other hand, perhaps serves at the mercy of America's military-industrial complex, and so he's trying to stoke conflict between Morocco and Algeria. In comes Israel. Israel and Morocco had normalized relations last year as part of the Abraham Accord deals brokered by the Trump administration. In exchange for Morocco's recognition of Israel and establishment of ties with the Jewish nation, the Trump administration had recognized Western Sahara as part of Morocco. Joe Biden, being the notorious fellow that he is, does not seem keen to continue with the USA's recognition of Western Sahara as Moroccan territory. This is what has been upsetting many equations in North Africa, apart from strengthening Algeria's claim on the region. In comes Israel. Tel Aviv and the USA's ties have not been flourishing under the Biden administration. And now, Israel is beginning to wage a shadow war on Joe Biden by taking ties with Morocco to the next level. Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz will pay a visit to Morocco next week. Gantz is expected to sign a defense deal with Rabat during his visit and to meet with his counterpart apart from the Moroccan foreign minister. Hundreds of thousands of people in Israel are estimated to be of Moroccan origin. Some 2,000 to 3,000 Jews remain in Morocco, making it home to North Africa's largest Jewish population. Therefore, it only makes sense for the two countries to upgrade ties, and the same will not be taken kindly by the Biden administration, which is keen to stoke tensions in North Africa. Joe Biden spoils the party. After coming to power, Biden decided to undermine Trump's diplomatic exploits in North Africa and started a reversal of Trump-era policies. In August, Biden tweeted a map containing the White House logo that did not take into account the December 2020 recognition of Morocco's sovereignty over Western Sahara. The tweet was deleted later, but it had already emboldened Algeria and its militias in the disputed region. An emboldened Algeria severed its limited bilateral ties with Morocco in August and accused it of causing wildfires in the Kabylia region that has claimed the lives of dozens of Algerian armed forces personnel. Thereafter, Algeria also closed its airspace to Moroccan aviation. At the behest of Joe Biden perhaps, the European Union is also upping the ante against Morocco. Recently, the European Court annulled the EU-Morocco agriculture and fishing trade deals while holding that they were not agreed to with the consent of the people of Western Sahara. So that's that. How does Israel plan to spoil Biden's party? A defense deal being signed between Morocco and Israel, quite frankly, is unprecedented. Yet, Joe Biden has created an atmosphere of instability in North Africa, the Middle East, and the Horn of Africa. All of this merits Israel making new allies and strengthening its non-USA-centric partnerships. Already in 2020, Morocco had purchased 3 Heron drones, a type of reconnaissance military equipment from Israel for an estimated $48 million. Morocco now uses these drones in the Western Sahara region to combat extremist groups and rebel movements, mostly supported by Algeria in its fight against Rabat. That itself shows how Israel recognizes Western Sahara as Moroccan territory, which should have been reason enough for Biden to not cuddle with Algeria. Now, with an all-out defense agreement slated to get in place between Morocco and Israel, things are about to get quite intense for the Biden administration in the region, whose interests will invariably take a hit as the Jewish nation wages a shadow war on Washington in North Africa.